What's going on, guys? It's your boy Varric. Path of Exile 2 has been in early access for about 2 weeks now, and I've been playing the absolute crap out of it. As of right now, I have about 113 hours in the game, and I've been loving it a lot. Today, I want to show you guys my build on my level 80 Deadeye. It is like a variant of the meta build, but I wanted to show you guys because it's a unique twist on it. I did have a level 54 Stormweaver. Sadly, this character was my first character. I leveled through the campaign. This character was pretty mid. I was struggling against the boss fights a bit, and it was actually quite nice. It felt like a bit of like a kind of like a Dark Souls type experience. It was very nice. I really liked it. But then I hit like level 45 and I spec'd into Cast on Freeze right before the nerf. I hit level 54 and it was just at the point where like the respecs were too expensive. Blah, 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 blah. You guys have heard it all before. Basically, my character got bricked and I wasn't having fun, so I re-rolled on a Deadeye. I did want to make the new monk everybody's running, the Tempest monk, but I ended up staying on the Deadeye because I actually really like this class. Turns out when I re-rolled the Deadeye that Rax Antarax, I can like put his video in the description or something. His build is the original build of this Deadeye variant that I wanted to do, so it was the lightning damage. I saw that he did it, but I wanted to put like a little bit of a twist on it. I thought some of the points could be moved around a little bit. Some of the items could have some better modifiers. Maybe you could use some different utility. So I'm going to show you guys all about that today. Right now I'm in my hideout. I'm on tier 10 maps. I just hit level 80 today. I'm almost at level 81. And I guess what we'll do first is we'll start with these skill gems. So for our primary bowshot skill, we're going to be mostly using this as a utility. This isn't really ever going to be a primary damage option. This is just more for debuffing and just getting utility out of it. So what we're going to do for the first gem is Ruthless. Every 5th attack does 500% more stun build up. So basically we could just bowshot them at like a boss to just stun them. It's helpful. Envenom to give poison on hit. We're not really giving poison on hit for like damage purposes. We're just doing it like it's good against life regeneration mobs and stuff like that. But for the most part, we're using it to combo with Corrosion. And Corrosion breaks armor equal to 80% of poison damage dealt. So breaking armor obviously is pretty good. And then we also have Soul Thief, leech 5% of physical attack damage from supported skills as mana, which is going to compound with all of our items on our character, and it's going to be super nice. So this is a really good ability for getting mana back, just doing some DOT, counteracting that life regen, or just stunning out bosses. Very useful. Lightning Arrow is going to be our main ability. Basically, just shoots out lightning arrows, and it pierces through everything with Pierce on the gems. The Pierce does 30% less damage, but we don't really care. Martial Tempo for 25% increased attack speed. Lightning Infusion for the extra lightning damage. We don't care about the other types. And my personal thing on it is Fork. I was trying out Fork, testing it out because there is support for Fork on the passive tree. I haven't really noticed too much of a difference with it. I don't think it's like a make or break, but I do think that it's pretty decent. It will probably be subbed out in the future though for me. And then Lightning Rod, you're going to combo with the Lightning Arrow. You like throw down the lightning rods and then you shoot the arrow through it. That's the main combo of the build. That's what you're going to be doing 90% of the time. On this, we just have Scatter Shot for 2 additional projectiles with Primal Armament for 25% more weapon elemental damage. And we have Lightning Exposure to just inflict lightning exposure on those shocked enemies for 8 seconds. In Rax's Lightning Arrow guide, the one that I was kind of basing this build off of originally just to level, he was using Escape Shot. Escape Shot is this AoE projectile cold spell. Basically you do like you jump backwards really far and it's like a bonus dodge, and then it shoots like a cold arrow and it does a big AoE of arrow freeze buildup. It was really good for the beginning of the game, but when you start getting later on, if it ever misses the freeze, it was pretty punishing, and like I never found myself really using the backflip as anything crazy, so I just decided to remove it from the rotation as personal taste. He was also running Stormcaller Arrow. Stormcaller basically guarantees shock off of the bolt. It converts 100% of physical damage to lightning damage and 800% chance to shock. Obviously that's really good for shock. I just never found myself really using it much. I found myself like just laying into Lightning Arrow a lot more, never really using Stormcaller Arrow, and as you get more and more projectiles, like it just like spreads out farther and it seems like only one of them hits, so I just stopped running it. I have tested out all these other abilities. I was running Snipe, trying to get Snipe to work with Barrage, see if I could do big proc damage. It wasn't working. Vine Arrow is not that great. These poison synergies would be better off as a poison build. Detonating Arrow is literally just for the gas. Magnetic Salvo blows up your lightning rods and it's not really that great, and Shock Chain Arrow requires them to be shocked and it's a terrible prerequisite. It's a bad skill. It probably would combo really well if you had like the if you were specking Int and you did the shocked ground that the mage can do. I think if you did that, maybe this would be really good. But me and my build, I decided to swap out Escape Shot for Ice Shot. Ice Shot recently actually just got buffed in the latest patch, and this basically shoots out like 2 arrows just like Lightning Arrow, except this does like it hits the enemy and then it shoots shards out behind their back and it shoots a lot of them out. If you fire it into a group of enemies, it freezes a lot of them, and also you can freeze bosses up with it. It builds up freeze meter really fast, and you can combo it with Barrage. So you get a nice little flurry of arrows right there. Very nice. On this, I'm running Maim, just so that we get that extra 30% slower movement speed and 15% reduced evasion rating. It's just really nice to be able to slow them down. Usually when I'm using the skill, I'm using it with the intention of an alternate debuff, right? So like, why would I use Ice Shot for damage? I'm using Lightning Arrow. Well, I would use Ice Shot to do tech damage, basically, just debuffs. Okay, so we're gonna main them guaranteed. Then I'm gonna do Glaciation for more freeze buildup. Frost Nexus, whenever it freezes an enemy, it leaves a thing of chilled ground. Just very nice. More chill, more freeze. Also, instead of Stormcolor Arrow, I thought Barrage was literally insane because you can combo Barrage with like half of your kit and it really does make a difference. I mean, if you're ever fighting something that you need quick burst damage on, or like there's a rare with like a lot of effects, or like you're in a tight space and you need to like, you know, get quick damage out, you can literally proc Barrage, step through the doorway and just like quick 3 shots, go back in, right? Barrage, quick 3 shots, go back in. And you can combo that with Ice Shot. You can combo it also with the Lightning Rod. Like, I had to wait for my Barrage to be back up. Like, yeah, you can combo it with the Lightning Rod. So like, you just pop Barrage, shoot out a Lightning Rod, boom, your full setup is here and you can just start comboing, laying in damage. It's very useful. Barrage is so useful. And basically this says buff empowers your next bow attack to repeat 2 times. This is a good keyword because empower allows us to do gem synergy. It also consumes frenzy charges, and I could see this build being very good with frenzy. You could run the passive, like if I pop a spirit gem right here, you could run combat frenzy. And combat frenzy is like, this looks like it's crazy. You could either freeze or pin. I think you would probably want to spec into an ice ranger, do ice ranger, and then run combat frenzy and build frenzy charges. I'm pretty sure frenzy charges build attack speed. I think frenzy charges build attack speed, but like you can find a lot of abilities that synergize with frenzy just in our kit already. Like Rain of Arrows, for example, synergizes with frenzy charges. But yeah, that would be a pretty cool build too. On Barrage, we're running second wind to give it a second charge so that we could pop it twice. Originally, it does only have 1. It does have 50% less cooldown recovery rate, but that's fine. It doesn't matter too much. Then I'm giving Barrage Murderous Intent, just because you pop around a corner, you shoot them with it, the last shot, it leaves them at 30%. They die now. It's that simple. I mean, I might run something other than that at some point, but I think for now, that's perfectly fine. And then Premeditation for the last one. Skills empowered by supported skills deal 15% more damage. This is crucial because Barrage debuffs the repeats by 17%. So we kind of compensate there. So technically, this is only a 2% debuff. Next up, we got Freezing Salvo. Freezing Salvo looks like this. It basically just shoots out a bunch of frost arrows and they go like random, and then they do AoE damage on the ground. This is for freeze buildup and also doing big damage. I turned this into a big damage because we have reliable freeze buildup with Ice Shot now. So now I put Biting Frost into this to consume the freeze buildup to do 50% more damage, because most of the time we're doing this for damage. And then we're running Hourglass for 40% more damage on top of that. And it gives it a 10-second cooldown, but that doesn't really matter because it takes about 10 seconds for us to get all of our missiles back anyway. So this is pretty much a free gem, free 40% damage. And then on that, I put Ingenuity just so that we decrease the cooldown recovery rate a little bit and it feels a little bit better to run. Rain of Arrows. Rain of Arrows is really good. It does really good passive damage in an AoE circle. You can plop it down right before you do damage, and it seems to make a huge difference when you're using Lightning Arrow with it. It does a ton of damage. It's very nice. It melts. With this, I'm doing, it builds up daze equal to 100% of the physical damage dealt. Daze, basically when an enemy gets dazed for 8 seconds, they take 50% more stun buildup, and that makes it easier to stun them out, obviously. So since we're making it easier for our normal skill to stun, I decided to remove the ability to stun altogether and run pinning on this skill. And pinning, basically, after the pin meter fills up, they're immobilized for 4 seconds. And that's a really nice thing to have passively going. So we basically guarantee an immobilization one way or another. And then with that, we're going to run acceleration. Supported skills have 40% more projectile speed. It feels really good when the arrows are coming down for them to have projectile speed. And also on top of that, we have a passive node, which synergizes with this to give our projectile speed modifier the same amount of bow attack damage. So that's really good. Voltaic Mark, if there's any spell that I would say you could probably sub out in this build, it's Voltaic Mark. I never really use this. Probably should use it a little bit more, but really all it does is shock. It's not like it makes them take much more damage or anything like that. It really just shocks. And when they die, they do a Nova that does anywhere between 11 to 200 damage, and it makes everything else shocked. It's pretty good. It's really good for shocking. It's just, you know, it's way easier to just walk into a room and just Lightning Arrow and ask questions later. On Voltaic Mark, we're usually using it on rares and just bosses. So supported skills have 40% more skill effect duration for that. And then we're also doing Culling Culling Strike just because when they die, when a rare enemy dies, usually they have a bunch of little things around them. We're going to give it Culling Strike just because it's a free gem, whatever. And then Execrate, supported skills have 100% more chance to inflict elements just to remove any chance at all from them not shocking. We're going to guarantee the shock right there. And since I don't really use it often, the 8-second cooldown doesn't really matter, and you're going to be using it for bosses, and it's fine. Herald of Thunder. Herald of Thunder is a passive that really makes the build. Early on, I took Wind Dancer instead of Herald of Thunder, and I regretted it because when I finally got Herald of Thunder, my damage like 2x'd. Herald of Thunder is like necessary to have as a passive on this build. It literally brings lightning bolts down all around you, and it shocks everything. Yeah, it bolt strike the target next 3 attack hits after killing a shocked enemy with attack damage. It does a ton of AoE, and it's just always coming down around you, and it's just super satisfying. Execute on that. Supported skills deal 40% more damage with hits against enemies that are on low life. This really takes that 40% threshold, and it just nukes them. Really good. Conduction. Supported skills have 100% more chance to shock. Very useful. It's a passive. They're always happening in the background, so we're going to guarantee the shock off of that, and that is like, it's really good. That's like, why are we running Voltaic Mark then? Because like, yeah, I don't know. And then also on Herald of Thunder, I'm running Concentrated Effect. I found that I didn't really need the area of effect damage. The bolts kind of just come down on the shocked enemies all the time, and it does a ton of damage now, and I'm super satisfied with the Concentrated Effect. I think it actually made it better, not worse. Wind Dancer. Wind Dancer is just a passive that gives us more evasion rating over time, and when we reach 3 charges on it, it builds up 3 charges over 3 seconds, and then when we reach 3 charges on it and we get hit by a melee attack, it does a big knockback circle, and it pushes everything back in the immediate radius around our character. So what I did was I put blind on that to make it have 100% chance to blind enemies on hit. This decreases their evasion rating by 20% as well as their accuracy rating, but we really only care about the evasion. And then Withering Touch. Withering Touch is not necessary at all. This is just an empty node slot that I had. I mean, empty gem slot that I had. I wanted to put this one in here just to see how it would perform. I haven't really noticed too much of a difference. It is kind of nice that when something hits you though, you just apply that withering effect on it, and it's just, it's whatever. It's negligible. It literally doesn't matter. It's just extra DOT. And then I have magnified effect on this to make the circle around me bigger when it bursts so that I cover more area and I do more knockback. Very cool. So that's all my tech. I love the tech that this variation of skill gems brings. I like running the barrage a lot more. It's been a lot more comfortable, and that in tandem with the ice shot, especially after the buff, has been also very fucking nice. I think you guys would like that. So I'm going to cover the passive tree last, but let's go over my gear real quick. I've got a super nice bow. I was running the Death's Harp for most of my leveling. The Death's Harp has 4 projectiles on it. It has 1 implicit, I believe, bow attack, additional arrow, and then it has a normal, just normal modifier of +3 projectiles. So I would recommend running the Death's Harp if you're going to level with this thing, because it did help a lot having those extra projectiles at early levels. It kind of trivialized a lot of the bosses and stuff too. This bow, 40% increased physical damage off of the runes, but we've got the bow attacks fire an additional arrow, which happens with the dual string bow. The dual string bow automatically has bow attacks fire an additional arrow as an implicit on it. It is a very good bow. The advanced dual string bow is the important one. Rax runs the same bow. I crafted this, and my jaw dropped to the ground when I saw it because it's just so good. One of the main issues that we have in this build is mana, as I've said before, and being able to leech life and mana from your attacks is crazy. But we've also got the 88% increased physical damage, and we've also got adds 2 to 123 lightning damage on this with 76% increased elemental attack damage. That is crazy. On top of the gain 6 life per enemy killed, that's pretty nice. It's negligible, but it's cool. It's the cherry on the top. Makes me feel happy inside. And then we got the quality +20 to just boost the physical damage through the roof, and that physical damage, remember, gets converted into the element. We're not stock doing elemental, so having stock elemental damage is pretty nice, but our physical damage is what boosts our elemental damage. Just remember that. Then I'm going to go over to my quiver. My quiver is from level 52. I actually got this pretty early on. Adds physical damage, 1 to 3 physical damage as the implicit on this quiver, this particular quiver, the broadhead, and then adds 8 to 20 physical damage to my attacks, 13 to 29 cold damage to my attacks, 2 to 35 lightning damage to my attacks, 21% increased critical chance, 24 dex, and I gain 9 life per enemy killed. Together with my bow, that's 15. That's pretty cool. Pretty cool. Very good. Very, very good. That's a lot of damage on a quiver, along with the perks in the passive tree where you can increase your effectiveness of the quiver. Seems to have quite a bit of an effect. It was like a difference of like 1,000 to 2,000 damage. It was a lot. For my helmet is pure evasion, 12% lightning resistance on the rune, 54 to evasion, 63% increased evasion evasion rating, 26% increased fire resistance, 26 to cold as well, with a 14% to lightning resistance on the top. Very nice. My chest plate, large evasion rating with the runes on it to give 40% increased armor and evasion and energy shield, but the energy shield doesn't matter because I don't actually have any. Plus 227 to evasion rating, 30% increased evasion rating, 31 to maximum life, 30 dex, 36 cold resist, 35 lightning resist, and 17 to 32 physical thorns damage. The physical thorns damage doesn't really matter too much, but I guess it's cool. It's just aura, it's extra aura. You know, you punch me, it reflects back at your face. It's just kind of how that happens. On my amulet, I'm running +5 to all attributes on the implicit. This is a pretty good amulet, pretty stock amulet. I wouldn't say that I really need it, but if your build does need it, you can run a stellar amulet to get that attribute boost. 4% increased spell damage. I don't think that really has an effect on me, but 22% increased evasion rating is sick. 54 to maximum mana. The big one is +3 to all projectile skills. That made a huge damage increase. Like I can show you. Like if you look at Lightning Arrow's damage, 12.2k right now. I take the amulet off, 10.5. Gigantic damage increase. Plus 16% to all elemental reses and 1.9 to life regeneration per second. Very solid amulet, very cool, very expensive. The Soul Nail Ruby ring is my first ring. 27 to fire resistance. That just happened to be the one resistance that I needed more of. Adds 3 to 8 physical damage to attacks, 6 to 14 cold, 3 to 45 lightning with a 24% increased cast speed. Gain 8 life per enemy killed with a 12% increased mana regeneration rate and a stat we don't care about. That ring is pretty freaking solid, and I've had it for a long time. I've had this ring probably since like level 53. This ring has been pretty crazy. My second ring is just an iron ring. Implicit, adds 1 to 4 physical damage. I'm pretty sure I could probably get a better ring for sure. I could get a ring that has a much better implicit, but the important thing is the extra damage. 7 to 9 physical, 4 to 8 cold, 1 to 60 lightning, 2 to all attributes, 8 int. But the most important stat on this, which was the determining factor of whether or not I bought this ring, leech 4.2% of physical attack damage as mana. Very good. Very good. Compounded with this bow, that's like 9.3 or 9.4. 9.4% physical damage leeched as mana is pretty freaking crazy, especially when you compound this with Soul Thief on your bow shot. This turns bow shot into a leech for 15% of mana. That's a big percentage of mana, especially when the DPS on this skill is 10k. So you get your mana back pretty quick without potions, which is very nice, not having to rely on the potions. For my gloves, I'm running the lightning resistance rune, and my gloves also add a bunch of attack damage to my attacks. 4 to 11 physical damage, 9 to 10 cold damage, and 1 to 32 lightning damage with a 33% cold resistance, and I gain 7 life per enemy killed with 3 mana per enemy killed. Magnifique. I love it. Very nice. Very nice. I could probably get better ones. I could probably get much better ones, but the hardest thing to find is gloves with attack on them, and then also having the attack be high enough to actually substitute this and make it count. Then the cold resistance, getting the cold resistance on there is also pretty hard, but I don't actually think that I need cold resistance anymore. My reses, no, I don't. I could probably, actually, I'm gonna sub out these gloves after this video. Let's be real. I think I'm gonna sub out these gloves after this video. I'll try to find some better ones, but yeah, my reses are capped. 10% chaos from the story mode. These gloves, pretty sick, but they're gonna need an upgrade. Basically, you just want to put attack damage on your gloves. You just want all types of attack damage on your gloves. That's pretty much what you're trying to do here. Mainly physical and lightning, I would say, but having cold damage as the third one is really cool just because it does do like freeze buildup. It's very nice. On my boots, I'm running the fire resistance rune, +12, then 25 increased movement speed. Solid. I've been loving these boots. I've been using these boots since level 60. Very fucking solid. 51% increased evasion rating, 17% to fire resistance, 36 to lightning resistance, 42 stun threshold, meh, 40 reduced chill duration, meh, but it's okay. These are pretty good stats. They're pretty fine. The resistance on it, pretty good. Movement speed is the main reason we're running it, and then the evasion rating boost on top of it is pretty freaking sweet. And then my belt, the charm effect duration doesn't really matter. You can get whatever implicit you want, but having maximum life, maximum mana on it is very good, with the 25% increased fire resistance and the 33 to cold, 18 life per second, and 37 to 51 physical damage in thorns. Pretty solid, pretty good. So this is the kind of gear that you kind of want to go for when you're building this type of character. You just want damage on the bow, the quiver, your rings, and your gloves, and then you don't have to build evasion. You can do it however you want. I recommend building evasion. Evasion made a real big difference in the build. You know, the game is all like, everybody who's building reses and building health is like, oh, well, I still get one shot. Okay, then just don't get hit. My character cruises through maps lathered up in baby oil. I'm out here like Diddy, bruh.
What did he say?
They can't hit me. I'm too slippery. I'm a slippery boy. What can I say? Before we go into the passive tree and talking about evasion and stuff like that and the stats, I do want to make a mention that my health potion does have gains charges per second on it. This is a very, very good modifier. If you're struggling, if you are running out of health pots during boss fights and stuff like that, get gains 0.2 or point whatever the fuck charges per second. It will help a lot. The mana potion's whatever. Run whatever mana potion you want. I do keep a cycle of charms on me. I run poison, bleeding, ignite, chaos, and stun. Stun is very freaking important. So is bleeding and poison to have on you. Sometimes the ignite in maps is just really bad, especially if you get ignite pools or if you get a boss fight where he just lights the ground on fire. Sometimes ignite is just really, 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 really punishing. And sometimes you can't out heal it. So being able to have that in your pocket is very nice. And sometimes the chaos abilities are really freaking stupid. So having this just helps a little bit. It doesn't make you immune, but it helps a little bit. As for these other stats, they don't really matter too much. Let's get into the passive tree. So my passive tree looks like this. Pretty much what Rax did was Rax took all damage, right? Which my build is based off of his, so I'm just gonna explain what he did. He took all damage. He like went down here, he went over here, he got these nodes, these projectile damage nodes. Down here, he took this tree, the prolonged assault tree with attack damage, and then catapult, and then he went over here and took these projectile damage nodes. You know, I don't think he took the quiver one, but the quiver really helps, especially for me right now. Like I said, I was running Death's Harp most of the campaign, so I had to have Master Fletching and I had to put bonuses into my quiver because that bow does not have any damage modifiers on it at all. It only has physical damage and it's a legendary, so you can't add more to it. But then he comes down here, he takes this bow, he gets feathered fletching, my bad. Increases and reductions to projectile speed also apply to damage with bows. Very solid. It changes the build a lot. Sniper arrows gain critical hit chance as they travel further. Also very useful. And then I was going to come up here and take this dex node, but I ended up changing and going this way instead because it's less nodes and also you get a gem at the end. Very cool. And I was taking acrobatics. Acrobatics, you can evade all hits with 70% less evasion rating. So what I do is I just take the evasion rating in this small area and then 100% evasion rating from body armor and 30% increased evasion rating flat out with 8% increased dex. I did not take these two nodes and I did not take the dex node. As I got up in levels, I just decided that it was too many perk points and it could be better slotted in other areas. Down here, I'm taking maiming strike, 25% increased attack damage, 25% chance to maim on hit flat out. Very solid, very cool. And then I'm taking this stand and deliver. Projectiles have 40% increased critical damage bonus against enemies within 2 meters, and they deal 25% increased damage with hits against enemies within 2 meters. So like as long as you have something on your screen, this will apply to it. 2 meters is a long distance. I believe 2 meters is like off your screen, so it's fine. That ability is definitely the best one to take. And most of the time when you're fighting stuff anyway, you're going to be right on top of them. So I did decide to branch off and take these two nodes down here. 12% increased elemental attack damage, and then also this is the important one, 20% increased elemental damage from attacks, but 5% of physical damage from hits taken as damage of a random element. Very nice when you have capped reses. When you have capped reses, this basically says negate 5% of physical damage. That's fucking crazy because physical damage is the one thing that's like the hardest to get resistance to besides chaos. I believe the only real way you can get physical resistance is like with armor, and we don't run any armor. So yeah, very good. Then in this main area, I'm taking this 30% increased evasion rating with 30% increased evasion rating if you've dodge rolled recently, and then I'm also taking 3% movement speed and 30% evasion rating right here. So like technically in combat, if I build up my ascendancy, after I build up my ascendancy, I'm at 72 and then I roll 73. So I'm actually at 73 evasion during combat. Then I'm going up here. I'll go over these jewels in a second. I take split shot for forking. I just do 75% chance for an additional projectile when forking with 25% chance for an additional projectile when forking on this. I don't really know if this is worth it. I'm noticing a little bit more of a spread. Like I noticed it does a little bit more AoE. It's nice for the big, like just hordes of enemies, but I don't really know if it's 100% needed. And I might put these perk points into something else later on. After that, I'm going into attack speed. I'm just putting my nodes into attack speed right now for filler because I don't really know where else I want to go. I think I want to go down here and get this evasion tree for this because, you know, that's a lot of evasion. Yeah, but then I just go up here past the attack nodes and I got the mana regeneration nodes because these mana regeneration nodes actually make a huge difference. Plus, most of the time you're trying to stay capped off on mana, and when you pop your potion, you're capping off on mana anyway. So 15% reduced mana cost while not on low mana is very, very good. Over here, we could take this tree as well. And this is going to compound with our Culling Strike and our execute abilities. Basically, what we're trying to do with this build is get enemies on low life. And what you can do is you can take this tree right here to get literally 120% increased damage with hits against enemies that are on full life, 50% increased critical hit chance against enemies that are on full life, and cannot be blinded while on full life. This is literally insane because blinding, if blinding happens to you, it decreases your evasion rating by 20%, right? Well, that's a lot of evasion when you're an evasion build. So now we can't be blinded. Niche, but tech. The main thing that we're doing this for is the increased damage against hits against the increased damage of hits against enemies that are on full life. That's the main reason we're taking this tree. It is very effective. It's very, very, very strong. You hit them, they go down under 40%. Your execute kicks in, Culling Strike kicks in, and they're dead. Then over here, right after you get done with the base branch, which by the way, we're taking all projectile damage on this branch. And then at the end, we come up on the other side and we grab the elemental elements, 33% damage against hits, against enemies affected by elemental elements. And then I'm grabbing this node tree up here for the increased evasion rating. 50% increased evasion rating when on full life. This is insane because most of the time you're going to be on full life because the whole point is to not get hit. Very good. It actually adds a lot of stat. Then down here, you come around, we grab this because this is too good to just pass up. It's literally one node and we're going this way anyway. So 4% increased movement speed, 20% increased evasion rating with 10 dex on top of that. And I decided to come down here and take this as well for the 25% increased flat evasion rating plus the 15% mini node right here, and then you get 25% increased evasion rating if you've dodge rolled recently on top of that. This combination of evasion rating buffs, as you could see with my stats, ends up being very, very nice. And as long as you can get your evasion rating with acrobatics to be over 50, it essentially turns every hit you take into a coin flip. That's literally insane. Getting 70% on that is also really nice because the thing about evasion that I found in this game, evasion actually feels really good because most of the time when you get hit by something, you're not getting one shot, you're getting put down to one health, and then a mini mob will just sweep you up, right? The thing with evasion is that it's very unlikely you're going to get hit in the first place. So if you get hit by a big attack and you go down to 1, you have enough time to recover because it's most likely nothing else is going to hit you. And then we come down here and we're obviously taking the heavy ammunition tree for the extra projectile damage, the stun build up, the attack speed. And then over here we have projectile damage and accuracy rating at close range. And then we just come down here and we're going to take this projectile tree for catapult, 15% increased projectile speed. Like I said, the projectile speed stacks with feathered fletching. Very nice. The only other thing that I might do is come down here, like I said, and get this evasion tree, and I would be getting both of these because this is just an absolutely just dumb amount of evasion. I think it would actually be stupid to not take this. And since it goes off of hit recently, like, you're not going to get hit. And it refers to the last 4 seconds. So if you do get slapped, by the hand of God, I guess, you know, you have 4 seconds to figure your shit out. And yeah, that's the passive tree. I don't really know if you're going to be able to follow that if you're a new player, but here it is. Here's the wide view. Look at it, go into your game, read the nodes. This passive tree is a lot more simple than PoE 1. It's a lot easier to understand. It's fairly linear. The options are there. There's really cool shit you can do. If you don't like some of these things and you want to move them around, go for it. I mean, just test it out. Just make sure you don't brick your build. Make sure you actually have the gold to do this. For the ascendancy, what I'm doing is I took Tailwind first. Tailwind is too good to pass up. It's just too good. Tailwind is a stacking buff, which grants 1% increased movement speed, 3% increased skill speed, and 15% increased evasion rating per stack for 10 seconds, and you can have 10 stacks. This is stupid. This is too good to pass up. You need it. When you get hit, you lose it, but it doesn't matter because in 10 seconds, you're going to be Jesus again. Then in this middle node, we're taking projectile speed for the 10%. This basically is 10% increased damage. And then point blank, projectiles deal 20% more hit damage to targets in the first 3.5 meters of their movement, scaling down with distance traveled to reach 0% after 7 meters. 7 meters is a ridiculous distance. You don't need that. That's across the map. 3.5 meters is also a ridiculous distance. So most of the time, you're going to be doing 20% 20% more, and 20% more is multiplicative because more is multiplicative. So this is actually more damage than your typical 20%, which is very nice. Makes a significant damage because remember, our physical damage and our projectile damage is very important. Our physical damage gets turned into elemental damage. So the more damage that we have physically, the more damage we do overall. And then I'm just going to show you guys my Atlas tree actually. I want to show you guys the Atlas tree because I really think that there's like one main way you should really build this. And it's the way that I'm doing it right now. I think right off the rip, you should not do pack size because you're just going to brick your maps. The more that you add to your maps, the longer it takes for the map to be finished. And the longer it takes for the map to be finished, the more of a chance you have of dying. And the more chance you have of dying, the more chance you have of not finishing the map, which is very punishing in this game because you lose the map. So if you want to stop wasting exalts, stop banging your head against the brick wall. Wow, go figure. Instead, I would build 3% rarity of items found in your maps. And then you come over here and you take increased quant of waystones, go down to rarity of items. And then right here, take lucky pillage, 5% increased quantity of items found in your maps with 8% increased rarity of items found. Very good node. It's a very big node. It makes a big effect on the Atlas. And then you come down here, take fortunate path, 100% increased rarity of waystones found in your maps. The reason why this is good is because even if you find like a tier 1 map, let's say, right? If it's a blue or a yellow, it sells for a lot of gold. And you can actually make a lot of gold off of maps if you get a lot of maps, which you do later on. So I would definitely take fortunate path. Item quantity, you can build quant. You can get 6 quant right here on the way down to the bottom modifier. I would take these nodes, take waystone modifier effect, and come down here to get more quant of waystones found. You get a total of 18% of quant on waystones on this bottom little cluster right here, and that is a lot of quantity on waystones. And then the only nodes I'm taking on this entire side of this tree are literally the magic monster nodes. That's it. I'm taking 10% increased magic monsters in your map with 25% increased magic monsters in your map, and then a 20% increased magic pack size modifier just to make them a little bit bigger. Then for the rest of the nodes, I'm literally going to come up here and I'm going to go this way because you don't need to get your you don't need to get your pack size over here because this is all pack size. Instead, you can get your 9% pack size right here. And I'm probably going to take this big node because this big node is really good. It basically increases the effect of your maps. So like if you have like increased rarity or increased gold or whatever it may be, it has a 25% better effect. And then I'm probably going to come down here and I'm going to go this way. Probably not going to grab that. Maybe, I have no idea. Come down here. I'm going to grab this for local knowledge. This is very good. This is just stock, very freaking good. I would just take this one. This is like brain dead. Like, why would you not take this? And then I'm probably going to come off of this one to this middle, increase quantity of precursor tablets, come down here, take this, increase number of monster packs in your maps. Easy. I think I have 12 left, 18 out of 30. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Boom. So yeah, that's what I've been up to in Path of Exile. I've been really enjoying this. I think this game is probably my favorite ARPG I've ever played. This is probably the best ARPG of all time. Yes, that is a bold claim. Yes, it is true. No take backsies. 110 hours plus, and I still have so much to do. I still have so much to do. I want to build other characters. I want to reach T16. I'm almost done with T10s. I'm gonna get to T11 tonight, and yeah, I'm just chilling, man. So I hope you guys enjoyed this build video. Who knows? I mean, try it out. I think it's really sick. I think it's really nice. I don't know if I'm building very defensively and I'm choosing to put a lot of my stats into defensive stats for the evasion. So like maybe I'll have a stark damage fall off in the higher tier maps. Who knows? If I do, I'll change it and I'll make an update video. But for right now, I'm just testing this out and I really like the way that this works. I really like the way that this synergizes and I hope you do too. So yeah, just a little tidbit. I'm just showing you guys like what this build does. This is Lightning Arrow. Lightning Arrow just rips through absolutely everything. I had an extra T8. So I'm just running a T8 just to show you guys this. I really wanted to showcase the Ice Bolt as well. Let me not be on a downward angle. I'm going to try to get a better angle so I can show this off. All right, let me show you this on the Elite. So if I proc Barrage and I just fire down this hallway, oh, that was terrible. All right, I can show you on this rare. So if I proc Barrage and I get in here and I hit him like that, you see how a lot of them just froze? And then I can lay into him with the ice shot. This guy's kind of a cock if I'm being real. Lay into him with the ice shot. Ice shot does a decent amount of damage. It's not bad. Freeze build up. Pretty nice just to have in your pocket. Alternate damage, you know, if they have lightning resistance or something like that, it's very good to just have this as an option. What's going on, guys? Welcome to the end of the video. This is my first build video, so if it was a little bit rushed or like it was hard to understand some things, I apologize, but this was really fun. I really liked rambling about my build and just showing you guys everything. I know it's a little bit of a change of pace for the channel. Like there hasn't really been this type of content before, but this is the type of content I want to do. I play PoE a lot. I've been loving PoE too. I'm thinking about streaming PoE, so it's only fitting that I make a build guide, right? Show off my build. If you guys are thinking about rolling Ranger, if you play PoE, dude, it's a good idea. I mean, Ranger is really good. If they want to nerf the class, they're gonna have to nerf a lot of like skills in conjunction. And I mean, they just buffed Ice Shot, so even if Lightning Arrow gets nerfed to the ground, I mean, like you could just spec into Ice, and I'm pretty sure looking at how Ice Shot performs, it probably would be a pretty solid build on its own. You could probably do an Ice Ranger pretty reliably right now post buff. But yeah, I mean, I hope you guys enjoyed this. Shout out to you for watching the video and being here. You're awesome. And shout out to Middle for doing the edit. He's always doing great with it. So I mean, we just hit 50 subscribers. Huge. Thank you guys so much. It's super cool. We're on our way to 100. I'm trying to get my first 100 subscribers, so if you would like to help out and grow the community, I would highly appreciate that. We would love to have you here. Let me know if you guys want to see more PoE content in the future. Let me know if you want to see more of PoE 2. I'm thinking about doing more PoE content. It's just pretty hard because this game is not really that, like, it's engaging for me, but I don't know if it's engaging for you. You know what I'm saying? It'd be a great stream game. I don't know if it'd be a great video game. So like, just let me know. Either way, guys, it's been Varric. I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you guys enjoyed the content, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.